In the 10th year of our marriage, Sarah, who was married to a wealthy man, decided she had found true love and was determined to divorce me. "I'm not going to let Daniel be with me without a proper name," Sarah stated firmly. She truly believed that when you love someone, you don't want them to feel hurt or disrespected in any way. I didn't argue. I quit my job and signed the divorce papers. 3 years later, I came back to the country with my girlfriend, Jessica. My ex-wife and she got into a fight, and I quickly stepped in to pull them apart. My ex-wife was furious. She hit me first. "Then it must be your fault," I said coldly. "I love her, so I won't let her suffer any disrespect." Sarah tapped her fingers on the armrest of her chair, a steady rhythm. She glanced at her watch, showing a slight impatience. "You're late. I'm supposed to take Daniel to pick out a ring later." "Sorry," I apologized automatically. There had been a problem with one of Sarah's business deals that took some time to sort out, making her 20 minutes late for our meeting. Her family had been incredibly kind to me. Sarah's father, Uncle George, was an old friend of my dad's. After my dad got sick with kidney failure, their family helped find a suitable donor, which gave him another 10 years of life. And they supported me too. Without them, I would have had to stop going to school early and might have been forced to marry someone much older than me. Her family made sure I got a good education, lived a comfortable life, and saw more of the world. So to me, Sarah was my benefactor first, my boss second, and my wife last. Being Sarah's husband was a job first, an obligation second, and something like affection came last for me. Sarah and I grew up together. We were childhood sweethearts in a way. She's beautiful, gentle, and always looked out for me. She always protected me, standing behind me. As a teenager, I often wondered what it would feel like to put my arms around her from behind. Would she be surprised or happy? Would she hold me back just as tightly? When I was 18, I finally acted on those thoughts. But Sarah told me, "Ethan, this is just you depending on me, not love." But in the end, she married me because it was the right thing for her family. I was raised to be the perfect son-in-law, someone who fit into their world. The night before we got engaged, Sarah's mom held my hand and said, "Don't expect love in high society. It's normal for women to have relationships outside of marriage." Having benefited from them for years, I went along with it. Thankfully, Sarah never disappointed me in that way. Unlike other women in her social circle, Sarah was faithful and never chased after other men. Everyone envied me for having a loyal wife and a mother-in-law who treated me like her own child, even letting me have control over the company. I once thought that years of effort had finally brought me happiness. But at 30, Sarah met her true love. Her lover, Daniel, cried just a little, insisting on being officially recognized as her partner, and she was ready to divorce me no matter what it cost. Thinking of Daniel, she had a sweet smile on her lips. "You wouldn't understand," she said. "Truly loving someone is not letting them suffer any disrespect. I'm not letting Daniel be with me without a title." She said it softly, her gentleness almost overwhelming me. Daniel is the most innocent guy I ever met. He doesn't care about my wealth or status, he just loves me. "Ethan, I found true love. You'll help me, won't you?" I chuckled, losing my balance and leaning on the table for support. Suddenly, I couldn't tell who was more naive, Daniel or Sarah. She seemed unhappy. "What's so funny? You don't understand, Ethan. You don't know what love is." She was so serious and determined. Words didn't matter anymore. I signed the divorce papers. After the divorce, I resigned from all my positions in the company. Sarah frowned, looking confused. "No need for that. You're still my friend. After the divorce, whatever job you had, you'll still have," she said. Sarah's mom also disagreed and tried to convince me. "Ethan, After 20 years, I consider you my son. Sarah might be causing problems, but I won't treat you badly. Her parents had a marriage typical of high society. She spent her life as a rich wife, ignoring her husband's affairs. To her, it was normal. But I was different. I loved Sarah. I foolishly believed that if I gave her enough love and was patient enough, she would love me back. But reality taught me that love isn't a game where effort is rewarded. Love brings out feelings of wanting someone all to yourself and being jealous. I couldn't stay there and watch them show off how much they liked each other in front of me. I held on to Sarah's mom's hand, the subtle smell of sandalwood filling my nose. From age 8 to 18, they raised me for 10 years. From 18 to 28, I spent 10 years paying them back. I was an adopted son, Sarah's husband, and the company's vice chairman. I did my jobs responsibly, but now I was tired. I've never truly lived for myself. I want to be Ethan, to live for me. I gently hugged her, my voice soft. Mom, I'll come back to visit often. To be fair, Sarah was always generous with money. She had a big heart, and over the years, she gave me a lot. Not to mention the shares and the money from the divorce settlement, my hidden wealth was almost as much as Sarah's. After leaving, I decided to live abroad. Sarah, busy with Daniel, didn't even know I had left. On my 3rd day abroad, she called me. Ethan, you're so careless, running off to another country without a word. When are you coming back? Don't miss my wedding to Daniel. Daniel says he wants your blessing. I gripped my phone tightly, my knuckles turning white. I won't be attending your wedding. Sarah didn't understand, sounding a bit accusing. Your family. How can you miss my wedding? Sarah, my eyes filled with tears, and there was a lump in my throat. Don't you think you're being cruel? Later, my younger brother, Ben, called me a lot. He was crying on the other end. Bro, I'm sorry. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have divorced you. It's all my fault for making the wrong friends. Daniel was Ben's college classmate. Because they got along so well, Ben brought Daniel home. Just that one meeting, and Daniel and Sarah hit it off, their romance unstoppable. Ben was furious that his friend became his brother-in-law. He promised Daniel wouldn't have an easy life, making things tough for Sarah, too. On the phone, I chuckled softly, telling him it was okay. If Sarah was meant to love someone else, then today it was Daniel. Tomorrow it would be someone else. It didn't matter who that person was, as long as it wasn't me. I saw Sarah and Daniel's wedding announcement on TV. Unlike our quiet wedding, theirs was huge and flashy. She must have truly found love, eager to tell the world how happy she was. The biggest place in town was covered in a sea of pink roses, with a guest list full of important people. The huge screens showed close-ups of diamonds, and the crowd cheered. Fireworks lit the sky all night to celebrate their love story. Even news from other countries was covering the big event. The world was celebrating their love. I stayed alone in my hotel, curling up on the sofa with a warm blanket, lit a cigarette, and quietly watched the entire broadcast. I thought my heart would break again, but surrounded by so much happiness, I felt no jealousy or pain. At that moment, I realized I had truly moved on. In my 2nd year abroad, I occasionally got calls where nobody spoke, but by the breathing, I knew it was Sarah. After a while, I stopped picking up unknown numbers. Ben often called me too. He tried to tell me how Daniel had messed up, and their marriage was having problems. Each time, I'd stop him. Ben, I don't want to hear about it. I'm only concerned if you're eating and living well. For a while, he stayed silent. Then, with a hint of crying, asked, What about you? Are you doing okay? Was I okay? In my country, it was midnight, but here it was dawn. I looked to my side, seeing the morning light gently on her face. She breathed steadily, sleeping soundly. Jessica wore herself out last night. I took her hand, linking our fingers. Smiling slightly, I told Ben, "I'm doing great." 3 years later, the company Jessica and I started was doing very well, and we decided to open a branch back home. I chose the day when Sarah would be at work to visit Uncle George. Walking through the door, everything felt so familiar. Nothing had changed. The breeze stirred the wind chime I'd hung as a child. Its tinkling sound was comforting. His eyes were wet with emotion, his voice full of blame. "You ungrateful boy. You said you'd visit sooner, and now 3 years have passed." I hugged him, laughing, pulling out the gifts I bought to make him happy. Glancing up, I noticed Daniel standing awkwardly on the stairs, unsure whether to go up or down. In 3 years, he seemed different from how I remembered him. His hairstyle and clothing looked strangely familiar, like me back then. Ben once complained, saying Daniel shamelessly copied my style. I had chuckled at that, thinking Ben must be mistaken. I nodded slightly at Daniel to show I saw him, but he just fidgeted with his clothes, stubbornly avoiding looking at me. At dinner time, Sarah rushed home, flustered and a bit messy, carrying my favorite roasted meats. She beamed brightly, speaking warmly as always. "Why didn't you let anyone know you were coming? I could have had your favorite meatballs and jasmine incense ready." She tried to hug me, and I instinctively stepped back, pulling away. I was surprised by Sarah's familiarity and excitement, given how cold she was when we broke up. Awkwardly, she dropped her hand and looked me up and down. "So, when did you get that tattoo on your arm?" she asked, pointing. "But I like the style. It suits you, makes you look even cooler." Her eyes looked at me with approval, and all I could do was smile politely. Daniel stood off to the side, pale and looking crushed. Sarah didn't look at him once, and I didn't understand why her declared true love was treated so coldly. But that was none of my business. I didn't plan to stay for dinner anyway. Despite Sarah trying to get me to stay, I said goodbye to Uncle George and turned to leave. The new office was near Sarah's company building. It was a property I got from my divorce settlement. On the opening day, to create excitement, I used my connections to bring in a bunch of news reporters. I didn't expect Daniel to suddenly show up, with eyes full of tears, looking both sad and stubborn. He shouted from the crowd, "Ethan, please stay away from my wife. You've been gone for 3 years. Why are you back? I can't stand my wife thinking about you every day. My life is filled with memories of you. Ethan, show some pity. Can you leave me and Sarah's marriage alone?" The place fell silent. My marriage with Sarah was very private. Not many people knew I was her ex-husband. The reporters were caught off guard and turned their cameras toward Daniel. The guests were mainly from wealthy families. Many knew what was going on but kept their reactions calm, though their curious glances darted between us. I couldn't let him say those things about me. Besides, standing beside me, Jessica was clenching her fists, clearly about to lose her temper. I picked up the microphone, speaking clearly and firmly. "Daniel, you should have proof when you say something. If you can't prove I interfered in your and Sarah's marriage, I will defend my reputation and sue you until you issue a written apology and statement. Also, this is not a marketplace. The loudest voice doesn't win. Please don't make a scene like someone fighting in the street. It's undignified." Something must have hurt Daniel's pride. He lost control. "Dignity? Dignity? I'm sick of your dignity. Everyone after marrying wants me to keep my dignity, saying I'm embarrassing, not presentable, saying they love me. That's all lies. You rich people think you're something, that having some money lets you mess with other people's lives." Worried things might get out of hand, I signaled security to escort him out. But the word got out anyway. Daniel's outburst video went viral. It wasn't until the evening that Sarah's company's public relations team managed to remove it from the trending topics. On the phone, Sarah's voice was tense. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I'll make him properly apologize to you. It's my fault for not controlling him. Sorry that you had to go through that. I hope it doesn't affect you too much." It did affect me, but I didn't want to discuss it further with Sarah. Next to me was a woman turning into a pufferfish from anger, waiting for me to comfort her. I held the phone, staying calm. "Please handle this soon. I'll come over to apologize another day." "No need." I quickly ended the call. When Jessica and I got together, she was a fresh graduate, a simple college girl, completely focused on her robotics career, clueless about family problems in the country. She knows I have an ex-wife, just not who exactly. Now she's holding an iPad showing Sarah's photo next to her face. Her eyes are teary, her voice rough, asking, "Tell me, am I her substitute?" I just felt a slight headache. Jessica and Sarah do look about 60, 70% alike. It was partly this resemblance that caught my eye initially. I should have made it clear up front when we got together. Now it felt a bit late to explain. I gently shook Jessica's arm, blinking innocently. "If I say no, will you believe me?" Though they look similar, they are completely different people. Jessica is sunny, fresh, full of energy. Her smile is genuine and kind. Sarah, in contrast, is gentle, polite, but distant. Her smile always seemed a bit fake. Jessica's eyes flashed with jealousy. "I don't believe you unless you prove it." Grabbing her arm, I kissed her earlobe. Jessica's breathing suddenly grew faster. She pushed me onto the couch. "Even if I am a substitute, it doesn't matter. It's not true anyway. The one by your side now is me. When a woman is filled with jealousy and envy, even the gentlest one might get rough." Lying by the bed, Jessica, calm down, wrapped in a towel, handed me a cup of warm water and started working on her laptop. Cold screen light shone on her sharp profile. Suddenly, I spoke. "You're very different from Sarah." I didn't look her way. Instead, I turned over, gazing at the ceiling. I didn't notice her stop typing. She might seem gentle and well-raised, but she's incredibly self-centered. She wouldn't wait for me to come home, wouldn't leave a light on for me, nor listen to my pointless rambling. I loved her for over 10 years, but she claimed I didn't know what love was, only to turn and marry some guy she'd known for just a month. When I divorced her, I thought I'd never meet someone who truly loved me. But then I met you. Love is caring, tolerance, trust. It's your kisses when I get home, the porridge you make for me in the morning. I turned, propped against a pillow, my upper body lifted, smiling. Love is when we went grocery shopping yesterday, and the thing I just glanced at ended up in the cart. Love is you seeing me in your eyes, knowing what matters to me. Jessica, I love you. It has nothing to do with Sarah. If there is any connection— I paused. Jessica stayed stiff, not turning her head back. I softened my voice. "It's that she makes you shine brighter, more worthy of my love." Jessica's tense body relaxed, though her tone remained sharp. "You're really smooth with your sweet talk." I was sneakily watching Jessica's reaction. She was acting tough, but the smile on her lips was hard to hide. How I met Jessica was pretty normal. I had just moved abroad and signed up for a community college course to make some local friends. The apartments near the community college were pretty old, but they were close to school. I'm not picky, so I found a place that seemed safe enough and moved in. One day, coming home, I saw a tin dog sitting outside my door. It looked like a regular decoration piece. As I got close, the dog's eyes suddenly flashed electronic red, and it started barking at me in a mechanical way, snapping its mouth as it came running toward me. Startled, I kicked it away. Jessica heard the noise and came downstairs from her unit. She was in a simple white dress and scratched her head when she saw me, looking pretty embarrassed. "Sorry about that. Did it scare you? It's just a toy I made for fun. I forgot to bring it back in." "Yeah, it did freak me out a bit." Not just the robot dog, but also Jessica's face. In the sunlight, her smile was like a brighter version of Sarah's. I couldn't help but turn serious. "You're the neighbor upstairs? Could you walk a bit lighter at night? It's a bit disturbing." It wasn't a huge deal, but since it happened, I thought I'd mention it. Jessica's face turned bright red. She bowed and apologized. "Sorry about that. I'll definitely watch it from now on." That night, while I was cooking, she knocked on my door. With a big grin, showing off her bright white teeth, she said, "It smells amazing. Mind if I join for dinner?" She was holding a basket full of high-quality fruit. "I don't freeload. Here's something for you. Closer neighbors are better than distant relatives." So I agreed to her joining for dinner, hoping to make a friend. Bit by bit, we grew close. One night when we were together, she confessed that mechanical dog was intentionally left at your door. Handsome neighbor. "Since the first day you moved in downstairs, I was thinking about how to meet you." I watched her in surprise, and here I thought you were such an innocent girl. The next day, Daniel posted an apology video on social media. It looked like someone was holding a knife to his throat. He was reading from a script, showing no sincerity. I didn't even finish watching it before tossing my phone aside. I wasn't keen on learning about Daniel and Sarah's drama, but in social circles, it's a small world. You're bound to bump into people. So, to avoid being caught off guard, like when Daniel suddenly approached me that one day, I sat down patiently and listened to Ben complain. Those two were full of passion at first, but they were from different worlds. Ben took a sip of his bubble tea and began his 2-hour rant. At the start, Sarah liked taking Daniel to parties. People around them would give Sarah face, tolerating Daniel's seemingly innocent but actually shallow comments. Over time, differences due to social class began to surface. Daniel didn't understand much and knew nothing about business. Sarah didn't want to teach him either. She assumed any man standing by her side should naturally get it. Daniel had to figure things out on his own, without proper guidance, tending to pretend to know what he didn't, only embarrassing Sarah further. On top of that, Daniel's family was a bottomless pit. To pay off his gambler father's debts, Sarah forked out at least $20 million. Once she started, it never ended. Relatives who weren't even close to Daniel kept hitting up Sarah for money. What initially attracted Sarah to Daniel, his innocence and indifference to wealth and status, turned out to be a lie. Was Daniel really indifferent to wealth and status? No, he just hadn't experienced real wealth and status. He maxed out a card with a $2 million limit every month, buying junk. The initial thrill faded, and Sarah grew impatient. She stopped taking Daniel out. Once Daniel secretly followed her to a dinner and saw some lively girls surrounding Sarah, trying to amuse her, he lost it and caused a scene. He even pointed at an important business partner and accused them of cheating on their wives. Because of that drama, Sarah became a laughingstock in her circle. Ben's tone was full of disdain when he got to this point. "My sister has never been so embarrassed. She dragged Daniel out and really let him have it." Want to know what she said? Ben was animated, gesturing and mimicking Sarah. "We've been married a year, and you still can't distinguish wine glasses? And you keep making mistakes with accessories? Where's your head at? If you were half as good as Ethan, I wouldn't feel so embarrassed to bring you out. You can't even stay at home and reflect, and yet you dare cause embarrassment in public? Aren't there enough people gossiping? Your whole family are leeching relatives living off me, and now you dare make a scene outside? Who gave you the guts?" Sarah was raised with a lady's education, so for her to call out a man like that was harsh. But isn't it kind of her own fault, too? I set my teacup down, perfectly calm. They'll just keep living like that, a bickering couple. Ben pressed his lips together, glancing at me like he had something to say, but held back. "Just spit it out. I can handle it. Once my sister got drunk and called out your name, Daniel lost it." Ben watched my reaction, and seeing no response, continued. I mention you all the time. My dad mentions you all the time. My sister mentions you when she's drunk. Daniel probably couldn't take it anymore. Later on, he started copying the way you dress. Probably wants to be like you. But my sister isn't buying it at all. She thinks he looks ridiculous, just trying too hard. It's been 3 years since the divorce, and somehow I'm still part of their games. Honestly, I'm kind of honored. I get why Daniel reached out to me. Having me, the perfect husband, around makes him look worse. He's blaming the issues in their marriage on me, acting like I'm the reason for their problems. But seriously, it's not my fault. It feels like being blamed for something I didn't do. Ben cautiously called out, "Brother-in-law?" "You need to drop that title." I stopped him, told him to call me Ethan. Ben looked really upset. "I'm just used to it." "Brother-in-law, do you think you and my sister could get back together?" He sounded hopeful. I replied, sounding firm as a rock. Even if the earth crumbled, and she was the only woman left, it had never happened. I felt a warm gaze behind me. Jessica stood there, smiling, her eyes filled with warmth and love. "You could have told me we had guests coming," she said, "so I could have bought more food." That night, Ben stayed for dinner with us. Through all the lovey-dovey moments with Jessica, he finally got that I've moved on. Before leaving, he suddenly grabbed my arm. Sounding a bit gloomy, he said, "Brother-in-law, you and my sister are both family. Even though I want you together, I really hope you can be happy. I'll bless your future." Ben might be on board, but Sarah not so much. Jessica met Sarah while picking out an engagement ring. I left for a restroom break, and they were at each other's throats when I got back. 2 otherwise decent women ready to throw down. Sarah's face twisted in anger. "Why are you with him?" Jessica didn't back down, clutching Sarah's collar. "He loves you. Did he tell you he loved me for 10 years? Sarah sneered. "I thought Ethan found someone special. Seeing your face, I get it now. You're just a stand-in. I can't even stand to look at you talking about love." Jessica's face darkened, and she slapped Sarah. Sarah looked shocked. Who insisted on divorce for her true love? Now you act all noble? I stepped in to break them apart. Shielding Jessica, I glared at Sarah. "Can't we just talk things out? 3 years and you're still quick to hit?" Sarah wiped blood from her lip and scoffed. "Me hitting? Want to check the cameras? See who hit first?" I didn't care. My bias was obvious. "You probably said something to upset Jessica, otherwise why would she hit you?" Sarah let out a bitter laugh. Her face mocked me, but her eyes looked hurt. "You just protect her, huh? But I'm the one bleeding." Jessica let out a soft sigh behind me, snapping my attention back to her. I asked, full of concern, if she was okay. Jessica looked down, a bit pouty. I think I pulled a muscle. Sarah, unable to hold back any longer, grabbed my wrist, forcing me to look at her. "Look closely. I'm the one hurt." I pushed her hand off and stared into her eyes. "Sarah, do you understand love? When you really love someone, you can't stand to see them hurt." I returned her words, once directed at me, with the same detachment. Sarah turned pale, completely taken aback. "You love her? If she didn't look like me?" "Enough already," I said, tired of her arrogance. "Jessica looking like you delayed things. If she didn't resemble you, I would have been with her sooner." Then I walked away with Jessica, leaving Sarah to stand there, stunned. I truly underestimated Sarah's determination. Her business empire is vast, making it tough not to cross paths in the industry. So when she used her control over raw materials to force a meeting, I had no choice but to agree. In a quiet tea room, Sarah returned to her usual calm and polished self. "Ethan, I spent 3 years figuring it out. My feelings for Daniel were just a fleeting passion. I'll divorce him. You can fool around with that young girl if you want, but eventually you'll return to me," she said. Our family misses me, claiming it's not complete without me. Pouring me a cup of tea, she said, "Come back to me. Time has proven we are perfect for each other." I couldn't quite understand the situation, but anger quietly bubbled inside. I once wholeheartedly offered myself only for her to dismiss it, and now, having tasted the drama and thrill, she returns when I've finally moved on, thinking she can reclaim me? Who does she think she is? Even a loyal dog has its pride. The tea was clear, fragrant. I didn't touch it and decided it was time for a serious talk. You think we're perfect because I was raised with your needs first. If you smiled, I'd smile too. If you were sad, I couldn't even feel happiness. Back then, you were my whole world. Any woman would feel a guy who only has eyes for her is perfect. But time doesn't prove anything. My 20 years here couldn't compare to that 1 month Daniel had with you. Sarah, I once loved you deeply. I don't regret my past. They saved my dad and gave me a new life. I'll still visit my dad and brother often, but we'll just be strangers from now on. Sarah turned pale and said hoarsely, "I don't want to be strangers with you. Ethan, I didn't know how to appreciate you before, but I regret it now. I know I was wrong. Can you give me another chance?" She looked at me intensely, like she had some grand speech planned. "I love you, and you love me too, don't you?" I chuckled suddenly, feeling a bit helpless. When she asked for a divorce, her cold words tormented me in those long nights until I could barely breathe. I begged her, told her I loved her, and she shot back that love meant letting go. She wanted me to let her go to be with Daniel. Now, after I chased this love for 10 years, she casually throws it back at me, but I don't need or care about it anymore. I sipped my tea and told her firmly, "Maybe I wasn't clear enough before. Sarah, I don't love you anymore. My heart belongs to Jessica now." Sarah forced a smile, still stubborn. "That girl is just to make me jealous." I shook my head. "Stop fooling yourself. You're not as important as you think. I came here because monopolizing raw materials isn't an issue for me. I just don't want our businesses to suffer unnecessary losses over personal grudges. Let's cut the silly games, okay? Oh, and Sarah, these past 3 years. As you were busy with love, maybe you didn't notice your company's run by managers. I might not lose if it comes to a showdown. If you want to be my rival, go ahead and try." My company's rapid growth hadn't gone unnoticed by her either. My words stung her, and her face crumpled. She closed her eyes, hiding her swirling emotions. "Do we have to take it this far? Can't we at least be friends?" If she had asked me this 3 years ago, I'd say, if you truly loved someone, how could you just be friends? But now I say, nope, I don't want Jessica to be upset. No reason to be friends with an ex. When I walked out, Jessica was leaning against the car with her arms crossed, looking like she'd rush in if I was even a second later. She reached over and took my bag, naturally done. "Yeah, all clear now. This time was a free pass. Next time I'll unleash hell on her, even if you try to stop me." Jessica opened the car door for me, and I glanced at her, amused. Ever since she learned Sarah was my ex-wife, her competitive streak kicked in. She'd ask, "Do you love me more or her? Should we throw a grand wedding? I want you to be the happiest groom in the world." I quickly covered her mouth. No need to compete over this. A small beach wedding is just perfect for me. She bit my hand softly, wind ruffling her hair. With a mischievous grin, she said, "We should totally send your ex an invite. Let her see our happiness." I pulled my hand back, playfully punched her chest. "Old habits die hard, huh? You're quite something." Daniel and Sarah's wedding was grand. Their divorce was just as messy. Uncle George allowed Daniel into the family with one condition: sign a prenup giving up property rights if they split. Daniel, blinded by love, didn't even think twice. Now facing divorce, he finds he gets nothing. Sarah was always generous with men. If Daniel had played his cards right, maybe he wouldn't leave empty-handed. But Daniel decided to go head-to-head with her, teaming up with his gambling dad to prepare a live stream exposing family secrets, hoping to ride the wave to internet fame. Barely 10 minutes into the stream, police busted in, arresting Daniel for extortion and theft. Sarah sent the love of her life, her forever, straight to jail. But those 10 minutes of Daniel's revelations gave people online enough gossip to last a month. Like Ben and Sarah are half-siblings through their mother, Ben being Uncle George's son with his first love. And also that Uncle George had twins overseas back in the day, searching for the other child all this time. Stuff I didn't know in 20 years, and Daniel unearthed it all. Caught up in this, Uncle George locked himself away, refusing food or company. I brought him congee, entered the room. The warm lamp cast tired shadows on his face. In just days, he seemed to age significantly. When she left with our child, it was to punish me for choosing family interests over her. But how could I have abandoned her when I gave everything to protect our child? She misunderstood me. I was just afraid my family would bother her, so I stayed away. Later, I found her, and she told me our child was dead and begged me to stop searching. But I don't believe it. Deep down, I always felt like the kid was still alive, so I never stopped trying to find out what happened to them all these years. I sat by the bed, hesitated for a moment, and spoke up. The person you're looking for, I might know who they are. The DNA test results were in. Jessica really is Uncle George's biological daughter. She and Ben are siblings. Even Jessica was surprised. My dad never told me about this. The one who couldn't handle it was Sarah. She went crazy, had a breakdown, and hysterically booked a flight to get away. For a while, the happiest person was Uncle George. He hugged Jessica, who was still in shock, and cried for a long time. Finally, he shook my hand, smiling through his tears. Ethan, after all this, we're still family. Before I married Jessica, I overheard her talking to Sarah on the phone. Which flower supplier do you trust? I want to order something special for my husband. Hey, I'm asking you because you've been married twice. Got a bit more experience, right? That big wedding you had was such a show. I'm just here to learn from you. Sure enough, the room was silent before I heard Sarah scream on the other end, "Get lost!" On our wedding day, Ben was my best man, and Uncle George watched from the audience. While Jessica slipped the ring onto my finger, I noticed Sarah at the back of the crowd, staring at me. Then she left, looking lost. I turned back to the love of my life. I leaned in and gave her a kiss. Jessica, I love you. Thank you for loving me.